Okay, here we're going to model a locator, a part called a locator. Let's start out by drawing a rectangle that has measurements of 3 units by 5 units. I'll use that push-pull tool to pull that object up by 2.5 units. Now I want to use that tape measure and pull that tape measure back by a distance of 1 unit. Now line across that construction line that was left by the measurement. We'll use the push-pull tool to push that surface down by 1.5 inches. We'll use the eraser to erase that construction geometry so that it doesn't visually get in our way. Let's make another measurement of 0.25 inches from both sides, and from the front we're going to pull that tape measure back by a distance of 1.75 units. Now I'll draw a diagonal line and another diagonal line. Now let's use the push-pull tool, and I'm going to push that surface down to the bottom, and as you can see, it sort of erases itself when it gets down to the bottom. We can use that eraser to get rid of all of the construction geometry. And just like before, I'll use that tape measure. I'm going to locate the center of the part, and then from that center I'll measure 0.5 units in both directions. From the front, I'll measure back by a distance of 2.25 units. And now I'm going to draw a circle and draw a line. Let's draw another line. And now we'll use that eraser to get rid of all of that construction geometry and some of the extraneous geometry as well. I'll use that push-pull tool to pull that surface down Now I'll measure from that side over by a distance of 1.5 units, and from that center line I'll measure in both directions by a distance of 0.5 units. The next thing I want to do is use this protractor tool. And I'll set it there, establish a base angle. Now I'll measure 30 degrees, and I'll do the same thing on the other side. Now I'll draw a line across that construction geometry on both sides. I'll use that eraser tool to once again get rid of that construction geometry, and then use the push-pull tool to push those surfaces back. Let's use that orbit tool so that we can turn this object around and view it from the back side. And I'm going to measure from that edge over by a distance of 0.5 units. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to draw a line across that construction geometry. Use that push-pull tool to push that surface back by a distance of 0.25, and I'll do the same thing to that surface. And then erase all of the construction geometry. Using the orbit tool, I'll use it to obtain a different perspective. Now I'm going to change the camera from a perspective view to a parallel projection view. Here we're looking at the front view. The right side view. And an isometric view.